Alright, now both shotguns from the Art Deco set are very, very good, but today we're going to be talking about the Big Shot, and this is personally my favorite one, but we will be talking about the Brush Off probably next in my next video. It'll be linked below regardless. I will be linking all of my Art Deco weapons in the description below, so you can stay up to date with all of my Art Deco videos, and I will be updating that as I release them. Now, big thanks to Fortnite DB for existing, because I don't personally have a schematic of this, but I do have screenshots from YOLO here, a great guy in our community. He actually sent me both of the weapons, so we'll be using his footage in the next one as well, but you guys can see what it looks like in game in case this format is a little bit weird for you guys. I do want to mention one thing about the perks on Fortnite DB, and that is that the element here is lying to you. I can confirm with YOLO screenshot, just like all of the other Art Deco weapons, physical and energy are not options for this. However, every other option does seem to be lining up with what we see in game. This is also a great way to visualize the 3-6 perks that you can get on this. Now, the Big Shot performs extremely well. It hits really, really hard, critting well into the hundreds of thousands. I don't remember what I got when I was solo, but I've seen this thing crit into the millions. It's ridiculous. I wouldn't be expecting that, but it doesn't need to hit that hard because it's one-shotting almost everything. It's handling mist monsters extremely well, and something that I find very, very nice is that this is much like the Maverick shotgun, which shoots in like a cone around it. So when you shoot enemies, it actually eliminates in a cone, which affects multiple enemies at once, and it seems to ignore shielders, which was kind of my experience as well, which is very, very interesting. It makes this super, super good at crowd clearing, because it's not like you're firing a projectile so much as you are just deleting whatever's in front of you. And you'll see in some of this gameplay, I'm shooting stuff that wasn't even in my crosshairs. They were just off to the side when they were far enough back for it to fan out. So this thing is not only hitting really, really hard, but it's hitting everything in front of it. So you're basically using 2 shots before you have to reload. The durability is actually pretty bad on this. I can show this with Fortnite DB that you're going to be eliminating your schematic here at about 562 uses, which is a little less than half the shotgun shells you can have. So that's pretty expensive in my opinion, but you're definitely getting what you pay for because this weapon will be absolutely obliterating the competition. And if you consider the fact that this weapon will be doing so much damage, it'll also be a lot more efficient with that ammo, so you kind of have to realize where those shells are going to be spent. So okay, it's fantastic for crowd clearing, it's great for single target damage. Is there anything holding this shotgun back? Not really. I mean, you have 2 shells, it reloads pretty quick with a reload perk, so let's talk about the best perks so you guys can maximize your experience. Right off the bat, I always like to cater to two things. 1, totally rocking out players, and 2, people who love crit rating. So you can go 3 crit rating perks on this. Don't do that, you guys. Don't do that. Diminishing returns hits in immediately, meaning 1 crit rating is going to be the best bang for your buck, and 2 crit rating and 3 crit rating are going to be definitely worse than a damage perk. Anytime I've ever ran the numbers on any weapon ever, you definitely want a damage perk on this instead of a 2nd crit rating. 1 crit rating is perfectly fine, and you do have to put it at the top one here if you want crit damage. Now, for the totally rocking out players, there are 2 crit damage options right here and right here. The caveat, though, is that you're going to have to do away with your reload perk. I highly recommend reload. I would not use this weapon without it. It's way too slow, way too clunky. Like I mentioned, you have 2 shots, so you will be reloading very constantly, and you're definitely going to want that to be back in the fight. So crit damage will let you hit hard right now, but you'll be spending so much time reloading that it kind of doesn't matter, in my opinion. As for the element, you definitely want to match your 6 perk. That's kind of my opinion. Like, if you have damage against water enemies, make it nature. If you have damage to nature enemies, then make it fire. If you have damage to fire enemies, make it water. You know what I mean? So you kind of want to just match that 6 perk. If you want it to be well-rounded, then you could make it go opposite. Like, if you have damage to fire enemies, then the thing you'll probably struggle against is nature, so you could also go a fire perk on this, or a water perk, so that you're hitting everything across the board and kind of like a, you know, reduced damage, but still pretty good. Somebody in my comments ran the math and said that it's like 2% better than energy. I wouldn't quote that, I don't know that for sure, but it kind of seems to check out, seeing as the extra bonus damage from this will mean that you're doing pretty okay to everything, because if you have extra damage to fire enemies and you have a water shotgun, then that 6 perk is going to mostly make up for some of the damage, but I'm not 100% sure if that's going to work out to be as good as energy or not. These weapons are still new. I haven't quite ran the math on that, but it's a good way to go if you want this to hit everything across the board. So your pseudo energy pick would be basically going opposite of your 6 perk, but I like to go with it. If we're going damage against fire enemies, I definitely want it to be water just to match that 6 perk, and I'm just sort of building my schematic as I go. I love this style of video, you guys. I'm not gonna lie, I'm digging this. And of course, if you have crit rating, you want crit damage. Now, the third thing I should have mentioned in the beginning that I like to cater to is that crit builds are pretty good. For a weapon like this, it's hitting so freaking hard that you're going to be eliminating a lot of the smaller enemies with 1 shot, and then the bigger enemies will probably take multiple shots anyway, so there's a pretty good chance that they'll get critted on regardless. And with the Big Shot, if I'm not mistaken, yes, there is a 15% base chance to crit anyway, so 43% of your shots is not too bad. But of course, you can go double damage on this, and on average, it's not going to be that much less damage in the end. Double damage will be super consistent. I mean, double damage up here, so it'd be triple damage, including this bottom one, and a reload perk. You will be very, very consistent, and all of your shots will hit for the same. Of course, 15% of the time they're going to crit, but that's so low that I wouldn't even really worry about it. However, I prefer to go crits. It's fun just shooting enough damage to kill enemies anyway, and then also critting for a ton. Whereas if you go triple damage, you kind of pretty much always know that you're going to be doing the same amount. It basically works out to be essentially the same in game, so you can pretty much do whatever you want. And that just wraps it up for the big shot. Such a phenomenal weapon. I'm impressed. It's like the Maverick, but it's stronger, and it's like the double boiler, but it hits more enemies with one shot. It's, you know, very similar to some of the other shotguns we've seen, of course. That's going to happen when you have as many weapons as you do in Save the World, but this one impressed me, and I think you guys will be happy to see with what I say about the brush off as well, because while it doesn't have as much crowd clearing, you can double pump it. So we'll talk about that next time. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys want to support the channel, feel free to use code Mista at checkout, and if you guys want to become a channel member, get some other perks, you guys can see them here on screen. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a nice day. And then